Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Dalton and this is Tim Smith. We're with the Historical Society here in Gettysburg. We're going to take you all around town in this brand new video called A Perfect Day in Gettysburg. We hope you enjoy it.
So I think it's important that everyone eat breakfast for a big, busy day in Gettysburg. Now, you know, some people will probably stay at bed and breakfast, which you get served breakfast. Some people may get continental breakfast. And Gettysburg has lots of fast food options. But we chose the Cottage Creperie because it's kind of a unique place in town, and it'd be a lot more fun for the kids.
I'll have the scramble it up with the eggs, cheddar, and
bacon or
bacon. I actually.
Do you want to do that one?
I love bacon.
Okay, scramble up. Okay. It's Bo's bacon.
Oh wow, Okay. Yep, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we do a lot. If you want to say, we local. All these pictures up here, these are the farms that we buy from.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Important because we like to definitely celebrate local.
Yeah.
And I shall take the classic BLT and egg crepe.
Yogi.
So how did you get the idea for this, Lori?
I actually, 30-something years ago in San Francisco, actually, and there was a little cart, little French cart, French guy, and I had my first crepe, and I said, great. I had to wait 10 years for a place to open up in Gettysburg, but here I am.
That's awesome.
Making the dream come true.
Classic BLT and egg.
Okay.
And this is your scramble it up with bacon.
So we're on Steinway Avenue in Gettysburg, Tim. Can you tell us a little bit about that
I think
town's history?
Yeah, Steinway Avenue, of course, named after General Adolf von Steinwehr, whose troops were posted along the ridge near the avenue at the time of the battle. You know, this really has, for many, many years, been like the tourist strip along Gettysburg when people come here.
Right.
As a matter of fact, on my first visit to Gettysburg, my parents ate at the Avenue Diner, just a short distance down the street. And of course, you can look over across the street and see, you know, the Jenny Wade house from here. So there's lots of places you could eat breakfast in Gettysburg, but of course, why not eat at a place where it's also kind of an adventure?
I never used to really think of crepes as a savory dish. I've always thought it was kind of just for sweet, so it's really cool to have, they have both options here, and breakfast options. Should we put in our sweet crepe order? I know, I forgot already what I wanted. Thank you, Alana.
Caramel pretzel.
I think so.
I think in the spirit of Adams County, I'm going to try the Harvest Apple Crisp.
As you should, Tim.
There's no way I can eat all this.
I love mine.
Kind of reminds you of an upscale apple dumpling.
We could stay here all day. But we have to eat lunch and dinner too for everybody to show them a day in Gettysburg, so we shouldn't overdo it too much. But
I think one thing a lot of people don't realize until they get here is the town is kind of small. So you could easily walk from one end of the town to the other and back and forth. And you know, some people come to Gettysburg and spend a whole day just out on the battlefield, and some people come and you know, spend a whole day in the town.
Right.
You know, we have a lot of return visitors. So people who've been here, you know, on their second time might just spend a whole day in town. And there's lots of different things to do and say. So, but in this video, of course, we're going to give an overview of everything.
Right. If you're eating here, you can walk right over to the Jenny Wade House across the street. They're open, I think, every day of the week in peak tourist season. Give really unique tours of the small house where a young woman, Jenny Wade, was killed during the Battle of Gettysburg while she was baking bread for the Union Army. It's a pretty famous attraction. I believe, Tim, that's also the oldest, or the longest continuously operating museum in Gettysburg. Is that right?
It's been in operation since May of 1901.
Wow.
So, the oldest continuously operational tourist attraction in town.
Hey everybody, so we are here at the brand new Beyond the Battle Museum in Gettysburg. It's where we work, so we're really a fan of this place. Tim and I designed a lot of the museum, wrote the exhibits. Tim, can you tell us a little bit about why this museum is different from some of the other museums?
Well, I think we really wanted to stress the story of the local people and how their history revolved around the Battle of Gettysburg. For instance, the museum is broken into three sections. The area from the early settlers to the time of the Civil War, and then we have a whole third of the museum about how our local people were affected by this world-changing event, the Battle of Gettysburg. And then the last third of the museum is about how the Gettysburg and the county around it has evolved since the time of the battle. So, you know, people might think that have too much emphasis on the battle, but really we're using the battle to tell the story of our local community.
That's great. Well, we're going to head inside. We're going to show you some of the really cool features of the museum. So we're sitting here in one of the earlier sections of the museum that we call the Tavern. Tim, can you tell us why we built this and what it is?
Well, you know, I think from the earliest planning stages, we thought it would be kind of nice to have Samuel Gettys's Tavern, because it was actually the first structure in the area that would later become the crossroads that would turn into our town.
That's right, and there's some activities and games for kids, right?
We tried to set up a tavern. We have some audio presentations. We have some cases with artifacts about the founding of Gettysburg and Samuel's son James. And we thought it would be kind of cool for kids to come in here and enjoy the spot, and also adults. But we have some little games that you can play while you're in here. You know, games that might have been around at the time that this tavern existed. And so, like, stack the cannonballs and things like that. So I think people enjoy this area. We see a lot of people in it. We see people interacting with it. And that's another thing, you know. In modern museums, you have to have some kind of interactivity to connect the visitor with the experience.
That's right. And a lot of people don't associate Gettysburg with this period in time, but Gettysburg was founded 10 years after 1776 and 1786. So we're very much tied to the nation's founding and the 250th of the United States, which, as you may know, is 2026. So we're standing outside probably the most popular element of the museum. It's an immersive experience called Caught in the Crossfire. We wanted to really showcase the experience of civilians who were hiding in their homes, uncertain of what was happening during the Battle of Gettysburg. This is really a common experience that everybody who was here, you know, went through. And so we went out to shooting ranges. We actually recorded the actual sounds of cannons and rifles firing through wood and metal and concrete and all kinds of other materials to try to actually capture what it was like for these people. So it's about 4 minutes. You're inside a home as the Confederates are taking over the town of Gettysburg on the afternoon of the first day of the battle. Tim, can you tell us a little bit more about what it was like for the civilians of Gettysburg?
Well, I think we can only imagine how horrifying and how anxious the people were hiding in their cellars or their houses. Literally, the Southern Army drove the Northern Army through the town of Gettysburg, and there were people hiding in their cellars scared to death, artillery shells exploding around them, bullets flying through their houses, and we're trying to get people to at least imagine what that must have been like.
That's right. And we've had a lot of really great press about this experience, and a lot of people have talked about how it reminds them of modern conflicts and how civilians are still caught in the crossfire in places all around the world. National Geographic, the Washington Post, USA Today have all written about this. So if you're coming to Gettysburg, we really hope you'll come and see Caught in the Crossfire inside the new Beyond the Battle Museum.
What's happening?
John, did you see?
Remember those campfires last night out on the mountain? It was the rebels. And now the soldiers say they're coming. We must stay down here. It's the only safe place.
Pray, children. Pray we drive them back.
Our boys are running back through the town. It's awful. There are wounded men in the street. The rebels are coming.
Mama, I'm scared.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death,
I will
fear no evil.
Keep still.
Hold back! The Rebs have flanked us! Retreat!
So we're just coming out of the Caught in the Crossfire experience, and I think Tim actually had this idea when we were designing the museum to create a wall showing what it looked like when the civilians exited their homes and saw the devastation. So many people's properties were destroyed, shot up, by bullets and artillery shells, and we wanted to actually build this wall and put real artifacts from the Battle of Gettysburg into the wall.
And we had a museum designer, a team of museum designers that actually went out of their way to create some, illusions of what it must have been like in the aftermath of the battle.
That's right. We're going to head over into the next section of the museum, which is actually about the Gettysburg Address and Lincoln's visit. And that happened just a few months later in November of 1863. So one of the rarest items in our entire museum is an original program from the Gettysburg Address. This is just an incredible piece that survived all these years. It would have been handed out that day in front of the platform as Lincoln was speaking along with the other dignitaries who were there that day. Lincoln spoke for just 2 to 3 minutes, but of course the Gettysburg Address is one of the most famous speeches in the history of the world. You'll see on this particular artifact that the owner, a local business person, was using it as scrap paper and was doing some notes on it. And just like today, you might have a program or a piece of paper from an event that you visited, and you're using it because you need a piece of paper. That's what happened to this document. But thankfully, it was kept and passed down all those years and ended up here in our museum. It's one of only maybe 2 or 3 that still exist. Tim, what's the rest of this part of the museum about, if you don't mind?
Well, we tried to do something to highlight Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address from a local perspective. And the idea here in this room is you're standing amongst the crowd as you're listening to a program about the Gettysburg Address. And we have a civilian wall of faces. And there are images that we have collected of local people who lived here at the time of the battle and who attended Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. One of the galleries in our museum pertains to life in Gettysburg up to the present day. And we cover topics such as commercialization, tourism, and memorialization of the battlefield. And don't forget, there have been people in our more recent history that have affected our story here in Gettysburg, including Dwight David Eisenhower, who retired in Gettysburg. And because he interacted with the local citizens here, we have a number of artifacts pertaining to his retirement.
Including Mamie Eisenhower's hat. Many, many hats she wore. She was a big aficionado of hats, and this is just one of them. So a lot of people notice this artifact at the very end of the museum before they leave, and it's the original manuscript for The Killer Angels, a Pulitzer Prize winning novel that was adapted into the movie Gettysburg. We also have some script pages from the movie, and these script pages are actually the personal copy of Martin Sheen, who played Robert E. Lee. He was here at the museum not long ago, and he noticed his own handwriting. So we were thrilled to learn a little bit more about that artifact even after we put it on display. So again, Beyond the Battle Museum, it's the newest museum in Gettysburg. It won the best new museum in the United States, according to USA Today. We hope you'll come out and see it on your visit. It's definitely a must-see attraction, and we're very proud of it too.
So now we're standing at one of the more popular tourist attractions in Gettysburg, the Shriver House Museum. And we're with director Abby Hoffman. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Shriver family and why this house is so unique?
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, so the Shriver House was built in 1860 by the Shriver family, George and Hetty. They had two little girls at the time, Sadie and Molly. And they built the home moving in, brand new building. They'd recently lived outside of town. This was their first home here in the streets of town. And basically the man of the house, George, street front business, a saloon, and a bowling alley. So he built the brand new home for the family here, which we're standing in the parlor, the formal room, the entertaining room for the family. And this was the kind of space you would save for your friends and family and celebrating holidays and that kind of thing. But his real intent, beyond giving his wife the home of their dreams, was to open these two businesses. The problem is, a few months after moving in, the Civil War breaks out. He enlists as a Civil War soldier, and things spiral out of control as they do during the Civil War. So it's the story we tell here is about the civilians. It's about the civilian experience during the Battle of Gettysburg. Hetty's head of the household because her husband's not here, and we talk about the young mom, her two little kids, Sadie and Molly, experiencing the battle literally from the doorstep.
And of course, the house is decorated as a house would be at the time of the Civil War.
Yeah, it's designed to help you feel like a family walked out the back and you walk in the front. So visitors that come like to get the experience that they're going back in time. Things from seeing the doily in place on the parlor table to the guides in period attire and the dress like they would have worn, and getting to see the bedrooms where Sadie and Molly would have slept. It's just, it builds on that experience that people can feel like they're part of the story here just off Baltimore Street.
So let's see some of the rest of the house.
All right, Abby, so we're in one of my favorite places in all of Gettysburg. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
Absolutely. So this is the attic of the Shriver home. They called it the garret. And they used this space for storage, but during the battle, the Confederates used it as a sharpshooter's nest. They knocked out two holes. You see one behind us here, right through the attic wall. It's a double solid brick wall. So they had to knock out through 2 layers of brick to be able to place their guns out and take shots at the Union Army position down the street.
Right, and there were Confederates killed up here, right?
Correct. Yep, there are historic records that were at least 2 Confederates were killed here, and our neighbor, James Pierce, actually watched it all happen.
This place will give you chills if you visit. It's unbelievable. You have to see the Shriver House while you're in Gettysburg.
Yeah.
So we're here at one of the newer restaurants in Gettysburg that we love. It's called Sign of the Buck. It's right here on Chambersburg Street in downtown Gettysburg. Tim, do you want to give us a little background on this restaurant and the history here?
Sure. You know, I think we could have eaten at a lot of different places around town.
We could have.
Because there's so many places. But of course, personally, I have researched this building, and, you know, it's sort of been a public house, a restaurant or tavern since the inception of Gettysburg. We're not sure exactly how old the building is, but it's one of the first structures in the town. And if you get out in the cellar, you can look at the cellar walls and you see it's a really old building. But over the years, it has gone through, perhaps 10 different names. And this is one of the advertisements. I think it's around 1803 for the early tavern that was here at that time, the Sign of the Buck.
That's right. Yeah.
And, we have 8 or 10 taverns in the town. I think there's 6 active at the time of the Civil War. And so, Gettysburg is kind of a halfway destination for travelers between like Baltimore and, Harrisburg. And, it's kind of between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh.
Right.
So people would stay here, spend the night. There were taverns and livery stables.
Right. And we're here on Chambersburg Street in Gettysburg. Is it 39 or 29 Chambersburg
29.
Street? 29 Chambersburg Street. We're on the first block of Chambersburg Street off of the town square. So if you stay in Gettysburg and you stay downtown, you can walk here very easily and you can see a lot of the beautiful historic buildings along the way. Again, this place just opened in 2023, but the hotel has been here for many, many years. It used to be called the James Geddes Hotel. Now it is the Union Hotel. Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about the history of where we are on Chambersburg Street in Gettysburg?
Well, of course, the town was laid out in 1786. And according to his grave, or his tombstone, John Troxell is the first settler of Gettysburg, the first person to buy a lot in the town. And we do know that John Troxell owned this lot early on.
Okay.
So, and he built the first house in town. We argue about where that house was. It could be this site.
Okay.
Is the site of the first house in Gettysburg. And of course, remember, John Troxell had 10 children, 71 grandchildren, 120 great-grandchildren. So he kind of took it upon himself to populate the town once he became the first settler. But, this street is just a half a block from the square where, we're on Chambersburg Street, and it was heavy fighting on the first day of the battle on the street in front of us. And we're directly across from the Christ Lutheran Church.
Right.
And there's a little plaque at the base of the steps that talks about a chaplain in the Indian Army that was actually killed on the church steps. So we're right in the middle of the historic district.
Right. Yeah, it's a beautiful location for a restaurant, and we are excited to start looking at the menu here. So they have a lot of lunch options. They also are open for dinner. Looks like for the lunch options, we have some really great sandwiches. The smoked salmon BLT sounds really good to me. I don't think I've had that before. I have had their vegetable grilled cheese, which is phenomenal. And I've heard really good things too about the Buck Burger.
And I really like the smoked salmon BLT.
Yes, yep. Is that what you're gonna get? We have to.
I think so.
We shouldn't get the same thing, so maybe I'll get my favorite, the vegetable grilled cheese again.
And we should mention that the Sign of the Buck, because of the design of the building, with the hotel having a huge entry hallway in the center of the building,
Right.
The restaurant is actually divided into 2 parts.
And wraps around.
Where
Yeah.
we're sitting at with the bar, and then they have a more formal dining area
right.
on the other side.
Yeah. Right next to this is the Gettysburger. It's known for its hamburgers, of course. It used to be the Blue Parrot Bistro for many years before that. And across the street was, for decades, Ernie's Texas Lunch, which is now the Honey Bee. That's another very popular lunch place on Chambersburg Street. A lot of restaurants right in this area.
And Food 101.
Yeah, we love Food 101.
Gary Owen.
That's right.
Yeah,
if you have more time in Gettysburg, we highly recommend both 101, which is a lunch place and dinner on the corner of Chambersburg and Washington Street, just 1 block from here. And then the Gary Owen Irish Pub, which is an award-winning Irish restaurant that is excellent, and that is also right here on Chambersburg Street. So this is really a core restaurant district, if you want to call it that, for the town, because there's so much in this 2-block section.
it's good. We'll take
Well, that was good soup.
a lot of onions.
We're going to have some sandwiches now. These are great. Wow. As good as I remembered. Hey everybody, so we're at the Gettysburg National Military Park Museum and Visitor Center. I'm here with my friend Britt Eisenberg, who works for the Gettysburg Foundation. Britt, do you mind telling us a little bit about this building and why people should stop here if they have a day in Gettysburg?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Andrew. So welcome inside our visitor center here. It's been around since 2008. And there are a number of great things that you can do here to get your visit started or to continue your visit and enjoy the experience. First and foremost, I would say, is the Gettysburg Museum of the American Civil War, in my humble opinion, the finest collection of Civil War artifacts on public display in the country. And of course, we have many more downstairs that we hope we can give access to the public to in different capacities as well. Of course, there's also the Gettysburg Cyclorama, the largest oil on canvas painting in the United States. That dates back to the latter 19th century, depicting the climactic scene of the Battle of Gettysburg, Pickett's Charge. And this is also the Center for Learning about National Park Service programming here within the Museum Visitor Center and also out on the battlefield.
That's great. Yeah, and there's a film here too, right? Narrated by Morgan Freeman. I love that introductory film.
A New Birth of Freedom, you know, drawing some context to the whys of this war and what it means to us today. Of course, as we all know in the work that we do, history is great for the sake of history, but it means a whole heck of a lot more if we understand the ramifications, the relevance to the world we all live in today. So
Right. Yeah, we really recommend starting here before you go out in the battlefield and explore. This is just a great place to get an overview. You can spend probably anywhere from an hour to a whole day here. So there's a lot to see and do. There's a wonderful museum store. And the foundation also operates a children's museum downtown. Is that right?
We do, yes. The Children of Gettysburg 1863 Museum for our younger friends to try to explore and understand what the experience was like for kids in 1863, and also find themselves there too.
Thank you, Britt, and we'll keep moving along on our trip.
And of course, while you're here in Gettysburg, you must tour the battlefield in some form or fashion. And there's multiple ways that you can tour the battlefield to suit your own desire. You can take a National Park Service brochure and you can ride around the battlefield for free. You can get out wherever you like and you can visit the different locations where the fighting occurred. You can purchase a book or a CD for your car that gives you a more informative tour. You could download a tour app. I know American Battlefield Trust has an app you can download. Or if you want a more organized tour, you could get a licensed battlefield guide to ride with you in your car and take you around the battlefield and point out the different scenes of the fighting. There are also bus tours available that also feature licensed battlefield guides. And just go to the visitor center or the tour center and get a ticket and go on the bus. And it's a wonderful way to see the battlefield. Also, there are specialty tours of the battlefield. So you could get a Segway tour of the battlefield or a horseback tour of the battlefield, or you could rent a bicycle or a scoot coupe and ride around the battlefield. You can just virtually do it any way you like. So it's fitting that we eat dinner at the Dobbin House. And I tell you, this is a place that year in and year out gets the best reviews of any restaurant in Gettysburg.
That's right. This is a must-see. You absolutely have to stop here if you have just one day in Gettysburg. And we're really excited about what we're going to eat and drink and talk about, so glad you're here with us.
A little background, you know, the Dobbin House was built in 1776 by the Reverend Alexander Dobbin prior to the formation of the town of Gettysburg. So this is actually a large stone structure that's built by Dobbin prior to the town.
That's right, and this actually was purchased by the current owner in 1976 and opened as a restaurant in just a couple of years later and has been thriving since.
And, it is just a wonderful place to eat. And the story of the Dobbin House is great. The Reverend Alexander Dobbin came here as a Scotch-Irish Presbyterian minister. And he and his wife had 10 children. Alexander Dobbin's wife died, and then he ended up marrying a widow with 10 children.
Wow.
So you can imagine, a couple with like 20 children.
And the decor is pretty incredible too. We're actually sitting in a reconstructed bed from the colonial era, so you can actually have dinner in bed.
There's no doubt that the second floor of this establishment was used as, bedrooms or a large room for all the family to stay in.
Yeah. That's great.
And, when I first visited this place in the early 70s, it was the Dobbin House diorama, where they had little, figures and dioramas of different aspects of the Battle of Gettysburg, and it was very popular. And before that, a guy named John Lippy actually ran historic house tours out of this.
Wow.
So although it opened up as a restaurant in the late 70s, it was, prior to that, a building where visitors came to and kind of a museum.
It's amazing. We're really lucky. It's been such, it's been beautifully restored, and you can dine in such a historic venue that has such significance to the town.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to eat some of the best stuff on their menu.
We're going to eat as much as we can.
Hi guys, how are you doing tonight?
Doing well.
Welcome to the Dobbin House.
Thank you.
My name is Steph. Have you dined with us before?
We have.
Many, many times.
Wonderful.
We're excited to be back.
Guys, I have fresh baked peach bread and corn muffins for you tonight.
Thank you.
What can I get you to drink?
I will have the Rum Belly's Vengeance, because I know that's a famous drink here.
It's one of our most popular.
Awesome.
And for you, sir?
And I will have the Dobbin Colonial Ale.
All right, I'll be right back with this
Thanks.
for you. Rum Belly, sir. And your Dobbin's Colonial Ale. Has a picture of the Dobbin House on our bottle.
Oh, cool. Look at that.
So what can I get you guys for dinner?
I would like the Baked King's onion soup and a filet mignon.
How do you want the filet prepared?
Medium.
And what would you like as your side? We have a baked potato, sweet potato, or the vegetable tonight.
The vegetable.
I'll have the avocado Louis for an appetizer, and then I will have the crab meat a la Dobbin.
And would you prefer the baked potato, the sweet potato, or the vegetable?
I'll have a baked potato, and does it come with a salad, or is that?
Yes. Would you like butter and sour cream with your potato? And for your salad, what would you prefer for your dressing?
I think the hot bacon dressing.
The spinach salad.
Yes.
And for you, sir.
And I'll have the famous Dobbin House blue cheese salad dressing.
Sounds perfect. I'll be back in a minute.
Thank you.
All right, I have French onion soup
Wow.
and the avocado.
Thank you.
There you guys are. Please enjoy.
Looks great. So Tim got one of the more famous, there's so many famous dishes here, it's hard to name them all, but the French onion soup is just to die for. Everybody comes here and asks for this. You can see it's just got this incredible layer of cheese on top. Tim's going to try to eat it on camera. We might cut because it's so, it might be difficult for him to talk and eat that.
It's just great, and we do have a lot of really good places to eat in the area. And I think we'll put a link to Destination Gettysburg here in the description so that you can look at some of the other places. But, the French onion soup at the Dobbin House is something that people strive to have when they have a long day on the battlefield.
That's right. And I got a crab dish with avocado. I love crab and avocado. I'm actually going to get crab for my entree, so I'm sure people will tease us in the comments for that. But this just looks fantastic, and the Dobbin House has the best seafood you could ask for. It's always just phenomenal, and it was hard to pick what we decided on for our dinner this evening. But
one thing I'd point out, any town that has a Baltimore pike is going to have very good seafood in Pennsylvania. York, Hanover, Gettysburg, you got to have a Baltimore pike.
That's right, the best seafood in the country.
I have the spinach salad, blue cheese dressing.
Thank you.
Would either one of you like fresh ground pepper on your salad?
Sure. That's great, thank you.
For you, sir?
A little bit, yep. That's good.
All right, please enjoy.
I love the salads here. They're home. The dressings are homemade, and I have to say again, the blue cheese is just out of this world. If you haven't been here and you like blue cheese,
I have the crab meat on the top
wow!
and the filet.
Thank you so
Get you
much.
some more water. Anything else I can get you with your dinner?
No, I think it
No,
looks great.
we're
It's
good.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Please
We're excited. So I got the crab meat a la Dobbin, which is another dish that's quite well known here. Just beautiful, fresh crab meat with soaked in butter and just everything you could imagine in a seafood dish. It's perfect.
And I got the filet mignon, and I just love asparagus. So I love the whole presentation here, and this is really good.
And they have incredible baked potatoes that come with their entrees. So it depends on what kind of entree you get, but you can't go wrong with a really good baked potato. All right, where are we, Tim?
So, I think after our long day of touring the battlefield and eating at several different locations around town, we should get a nightcap at the Farnsworth House, the Sweney Tavern at the Farnsworth House.
This is a pretty famous establishment in Gettysburg, right?
Yeah, this is one of the longest continuously run businesses in the town. We argue about what business has been here the longest, but the Schultz family has run this establishment since 1972.
Wow.
And it's always been a place where people that are interested in the battle come to after they tour the battlefield for the day, and it's very popular with tourists in the summer season. But one thing that makes this place unique is that during the filming of the movie Gettysburg in 1992, the actors started to make this their unofficial headquarters and often had their cast parties here. And after the filming was done, Loring Schultz decided to buy props associated with the movie that were used in the movie from the prop truck, and then put them on display, and we show the movie 24/7 here. And so we also have a video about the making of the movie. And I got to tell you, time and again, I come in here and there's a bar filled with people watching the movie, even though they've seen it many times at their home. So it's just one of those things that people do when they're in town.
That's great. I guess we're going to get some drinks.
And, one thing that's interesting about the drinks here, a lot of them are themed after the Battle of Gettysburg.
Okay. Pretty cool.
Hello, gentlemen.
So they have the bullet hole, Old Peach Punch.
Okay. A Longstreet reference.
Yeah, a Longstreet reference. And the Yankee Moscow Mule. Oh, the
Lincoln's
Winfield.
Ghost. Wow.
And of course, one of my favorites on here, the Louisiana Tiger Fire, because the Louisiana Tigers occupied this part of town during the second and third day of the battle in the sharpshooter action.
That's great.
And probably killed Jenny Wade.
Yeah, and that's the attic of this building, right? Upstairs? Where that shot was fired from?
We really don't know if Louisiana Tigers were here or Alabama sharpshooters were here. But yes, one of those two states.
All right, what are you going to get?
I think I'm going to get the
menu pretty well.
Louisiana Tiger Fire, which is one of the specialties here. But you should probably try the sharpshooter or the bullet hole.
I'll try it. Let's see. Okay, the sharpshooter's got vanilla in it. I love vanilla. I'll do that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Cheers to a day in Gettysburg. Excellent. And Tim wrote a book about the Farnsworth House, The Eye of the Storm.
You know, it's true. I lived next to the Farnsworth House, I think starting in about 1992. So I lived right next door. I had a close association with the owners, and I was here while they filmed the movie and came to the cast parties. So, you know, it's hard for me not to think of the Farnsworth House and think about the movie. And here we have it. It's almost like a memorial to the movie Gettysburg. So if you have watched the movie, before you come to Gettysburg, you almost have to visit this establishment. But we also have a display of the history of the Farnsworth House, including, of course, you know, Jenny Wade dolls and the Jenny Wade dough tray. And, you know, there's no doubt about it, Jenny Wade was killed on the third day of the Battle of Gettysburg from one of the buildings down here, probably from one of the windows of one of the buildings down here. So, you know, we can't say exactly for sure, but the Farnsworth House was used by sharpshooters during the battle.
So where are we now, Tim, in the Farnsworth House?
Of course, we're in the original house, and this is part of the Farnsworth House dining room or restaurant, which dates from 1972. But even prior to that, this was called the Sleepy Hollow Lodge, and it had been probably since around 1915, had been a tourist home in Gettysburg, one of many.
And we're in the original part of the house, right?
Yes.
So how far back does this part
The house itself was built, this part of the house, in 1833 by John McFarland. Right. And at the time of the battle, it was owned by Harvey Sweney. And, you know, we're at the edge of the town, and undoubtedly Confederates came into the house and occupied the house with sharpshooters during the fighting.
Everybody, we just want to thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you'll come to Gettysburg soon and enjoy all the things that we have to offer.
And, you know, if you like the stuff that we put on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel.